It is time. It's time to stop hiding. It's time to stand up. It's time for Christians to come together. It's time for us to share our testimonies, to inspire hope, and to join our brothers and sisters as we answer the call. Folks, it is time to wake up the lions. And I have an absolute lioness with me today who is just bringing some fantastic information and a little bit of attitude and a whole bunch of great stuff. This is a really tough topic. And so I'm trying to just sort of be positive about it because it's disheartening when you listen to it. But this lady has a very unique perspective on it. I'm really looking forward to hearing her story and what she has to say. So please welcome to the show. She is a coach. She's a speaker. She is a podcaster of the Still Here podcast. She is an author coming up. So folks, be looking for that. Please welcome to the show, Marit Welker. Marit, how are you doing today?
I'm great. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. This is a rough topic. You've got an amazing story. Let's kind of start with this. Give everybody a little bit of an idea of who is Marit Welker, what are you about, and kind of what brings you here.
Well, I think probably my first identity would be as a mother. No, definitely child of God.
Hmm.
But beyond child of God, it would be as a mother, just because that's where I put my heart and soul for so many years. Maybe not where it should be, but mother of five and wife. And I work as a coach and I write and I speak, and that's what I do. Podcast guesting.
Nice.
A few years back, well, I've been grounded in Christianity from childhood
Yep.
and truly committed to being a Christian myself. I would say when I was 19, really went all in. And I've stumbled a few times since, but nothing extreme. And okay, maybe some mediums, but nothing criminal. Um, but yeah, I like Paul, I can honestly say that I was a great sinner and I am freed um, and forgiven from those sins. And there are no words to describe that. As a mother, I made mistakes. I was tired. I was frustrated. I was dealing with all kinds of things. And there were times when I just didn't step up to the plate. And somehow my kids have forgiven me and have connected and engaged with the new person that I am, not the one I was at the time. Because I've discovered you can be Christian and still be a not that great person.
Hmm. I mean, that's wow. I don't think you could have said it better than that. That's exactly how things go. Um, the work that you're doing now with coaching, for instance, what are some of the things that you focus on with that?
Well, in my experience as a mother, I went through something pretty traumatic, and I have shifted into a field that is very specific to that traumatic experience because I know it from both sides and I can help people. And that is when your children go no contact, when your adult children cut you off out of their lives and a mother doesn't know what she did wrong. Sometimes a child can't say what they did wrong. Um, and the mothers sometimes are just plain ghosted. The children don't even say anything, they just disappear from their life. And most moms, even the ones that are just not that good, still went into becoming a mom because they wanted to. Most moms gave it their heart and soul, hoping to make life better for that child. Most moms sacrifice tremendously to be able to give their child what they need. And then when those needs do not seemingly get met, if the child chooses to go no contact, the mother can't defend herself. She can't understand more often than not. And she's just left in excruciating pain. It'd be like taking, I don't know, almost like taking God out of Christianity. I mean, not entirely, of course, but for me, that's what it was
Sure.
like. If I'm a mom, how can you take my children away?
Right.
And I, in one afternoon, lost not only my son, but also his wife and my three precious grandchildren. And I was very, very close to those grandchildren, very close, and to my daughter in law. And suddenly, boom, gone, done. It was excruciating.
Wow.
But I also understand that from the child's point of view, in the sense that I was also that child. My mother and I never cut connections completely, but my that wasn't my experience. But I blamed her. And with that blame and all the pain that I felt, she was the root cause of most of my problems. I had nightmares about her into my 30s and 40s. I prayed to have this feeling gone. I wanted it gone. She even became a somewhat different person, and I couldn't forgive her. I tried and tried and tried, and I couldn't.
Hmm.
And that was excruciating. So I lived a great distance away, and we got in touch and saw each other about once a year. And that was about it. And that's how I lived most of my adult life. Since then, I've, of course, grown up, pulled my head out, and recognized that my mother loved me tremendously. She just couldn't love me in my love language. She couldn't understand what I needed. And I couldn't understand why she wasn't willing to give that. And
Hmm.
it was because she wasn't capable of it. So I've been through both sides, reconciliation all around. And I have the most beautiful grandchildren back in my life now. And I'm so grateful for it. But my experience with that was remarkable. And that's what I wanted to come onto your podcast to share.
That's it's amazing. I hear about this sort of phenomenon a lot. You and I talked a little bit in the pre-interview about how much more common this is becoming. Um, m- you mentioned the term love languages, and I know that that's a book
Hmm.
that, and I think everybody
Right,
kind of
right.
knows what that is. So, um, is it really that it's a different love language and it's just a miscommunication, or is this coming from someplace, deeper? Where's this all
Well,
getting stirred up from?
there's multiple reasons, and I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But in my mother's case and mine, it was a I'm a warm, nurturing, loving person, and loving people is easy for me. It's not for her. She's a very private person, and I'm a
Hmm.
show the whole world everything. I'm not the one who's concerned about what may or may not um, happen. I'm just all I live all in.
Yeah.
And she was more reserved, and she grew up in a very different environment than I was raised in a very different time than I was raised. Surprisingly, so did my kids. And that's to great degree, that's what it comes down to. It's a generational thing.
Hmm.
What was considered abuse for me when I was a child is something that would be extreme today, whereas what is considered abuse today would have seemed like Tuesday afternoon when I was a kid. I'm not
Right.
kidding.
I
There's
understand.
this concept creep, and it's tragic because that's why the mothers don't have any idea what they've done. Concept creep means, here's the concept, this is the truth of it, and then the definition is slowly changing over time, getting softer and softer. And what that entails is um, that the problems of abuse are not based on um, the same experiences that we drew from. They are based on a new and different experience because the standards have changed socially, culturally, and even in diagnoses. Um, the DSM 4 and DSM 1,
Hmm.
the difference is 300 something diagnoses, 320 diagnoses, I think, more than 300. And people thought they had overdone it when they came out with the DSM 4 because they added so many diagnoses. Now they've added even more, and they're all mental illness. And they include things like sleep disorder, which is a medical condition. But nope, it's also a mental illness. And they've added so many other things, you see. All of those diagnoses are now part of the DSM 5, which is frustrating because what was mom having a bad day, and she might yell at your child or might not listen when the child comes in and wants to let out all their problems that day, but she has an appointment somewhere. That isn't abuse. That's mistake. That's humans. That's humans living together.
Hmm.
And now it's she was never there for me. She, and it wasn't that she was never there. She wasn't there for you in a crucial moment, a turning point in your life. And yes, that was excruciating for you. But that doesn't mean your mother understood or even had to understand how important that was for you, because she's a human. And we give each other that grace, that acceptance and patience by working together. Another element that has impacted this tremendously is the obsession with individualism. When I grew up, we made fun of the me generation. We made fun of the yuppies wanting to live just for themselves. And yet now this, I mean, but family was blood. That was, it was everything. Don't believe me? Go watch The Godfather.
I've seen it
I'm
a few
kidding.
times. Yeah.
I haven't actually seen it. I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
But your family is important.
Right.
And I actually recommend you don't see it because, we're here as Christians. Um, Maybe find something better. But what happened was these children come along and they are growing up in a time where social media and new therapies and new treatments and new therapists, and of course, the important voices that are clogging the internet, um, you know, voices that you might have heard of, little things like Mel Robbins and Oprah Winfrey and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, these people are saying things that, um, leave your parents, find your life, lose your parents, find your life. Those kinds of phrases are very damaging because they think that if you're having any difficulty or if you're having any pain in an experience, a painful experience, I'm not talking severe abuse because that certainly does exist. And that's not what I'm emphasizing here. I'm not talking cases of substance abuse
Sure.
or any type of abuse. What
Right.
I'm talking about is perceived abuse. It is real and people suffer from perceived abuse,
Okay.
but it is not the same
Yeah.
because my mother grew up in a home with 16 children. Okay, that was a very different environment than mine. Mine only had seven.
Wow.
And that was a lot. My kids grew up with five kids because that's what we valued. Um, but whether there's one child or seven, you're bound and determined to make a mistake because you're a human being. We were not sent to earth to be perfect. That's why Jesus came. And um, I believe that when we are given this human experience and our spirits are going through it without full understanding of it, I think what we need to do is we need to remember that grace is a two-way street,
Mhm.
support is a two-way street, forgiveness is a two-way street, understanding is a two-way street. And so all of those elements have to come into the child as well as the mother. Maybe you weren't the child you expected her to be. But there are voices today that are saying, if you have problems, if you didn't turn out right, it's your parents' fault. I personally believe Freudian psychiatry does that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about blame and it's all about your past. Well, your parents are only responsible for a portion of your past. The choices you made are the other part.
Right.
I think also that the in addition to the choices, your beliefs, you are responsible for your beliefs. And that's something I work a great deal with the women is separating the difference between, because I'm big into neuroscience, separating the difference between a thought and a fact.
Okay.
You might have a thought, same thought, 1,000 times. That doesn't make it true. And God is not the author of shame.
Hmm.
He's the author of guilt. Okay. Now, where does that come from? Guilt is a feeling that motivates you to action, to change. It's
Sure.
to pull you forward into a better direction. Whereas shame, that doesn't say you messed up. That means you were never good enough. Shame says you're the failure. And that comes from the enemy. That's not from God. And it's really been an interesting journey combining religion, psychiatry, neuroscience, again, big fan, and also my own experiences to be able to take this life coach and become the estranged mother coach.
Hmm. Okay. Now, you have been on both sides of this, which is also a very unique standpoint for you. So I love
It
the
is.
fact that you're sharing this perspective, because I think you have a perspective that a lot of people don't have. Were you aware of your sort of the relationship that took place with you and your mother, with you as the child, um, prior to this happening with you and your son? Or was it the issue
Yes.
with you and your son that kind of made the other one more
No.
visible? I see.
No. I didn't realize how far it had gone with my mom. And
Okay.
I didn't notice the parallels until after it had been resolved with my son. I discovered that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, is all.
I see.
And my mother is getting up there in years, and I am awfully glad that we are completely reconciled now. That the respect and the love is there, because if I had discovered this after she was gone, it would have been awful. I don't want any young person to have to go through that.
Wow.
And I can't reach out to the young people. They wouldn't listen to me. But I can, it's not an easy voice to hear. But I can help the moms. So one of the first things I teach them is that there are two sides to every story. So whether you know you did something wrong or not, you did something wrong.
Wow.
And you may have been a very good mother, but there was something and it hurt your child profoundly. Let's look into this. And the answer is not a blame game. The answer is not a throw the mom under the bus or throw the kids under the bus. The answer is a very proactive approach. And that is, this is a waiting game. Your child has taken it so the ball is not in your court. You can't choose what to do. And you can keep searching and scrolling all night long if you want, but you're never going to find that one last thing or the perfect right words to write in a text that's going to make that difference. What you are going to find is that you can fix yourself and you can win the waiting season, because you will go forward as a stronger, humbler, more loving person who, when your child, in all of their pain, lashes out and tears you to pieces, you can do the necessary work of just calmly listening with empathy. And that is what begins to open doors. That is what begins to turn hearts. And
Wow.
so my work, it's built on 5 godly habits. And then we go through multiple transformations.
Okay.
But it is an experience where these women, you can't get through this without coming closer to God if you want to succeed
Okay.
as a Christian woman.
Right. That's something that's been going through my mind as I've been listening to you too, is, what role does your relationship with God play? If you're the parent in this one, especially, how does that help get you through this?
Oh, that was beautiful. I experienced the most ridiculous miracle, the most marvelous, amazing, remarkable experience. My son cut me off, and I let him go. And I didn't try to reach out because I knew that he was wrong and was falsely blaming me. And I didn't want to be treated that way anymore. And so I let him go. And I don't regret that. He needed to work through this, and eventually we were able to reconcile. But I had to stand up for myself. And at that point, I did. And so when he decided he was out of there and took the kids and everything, they packed up all of their possessions and left my home. Um, I was okay. But I also knew it was going to be a really long time before I saw them again, if at all, in this life. I knew I had the next life with them. I knew that they were not, they were converted to Christ. They would be there.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that I would have them in this life. And so I just kept going through the motions, and I had a hollowness inside of me, this incredible heaviness that I just tried not to connect with because I didn't want to have to feel that,
Yeah.
certainly in full. And then I went upstairs and was outside my daughter's bedroom and saw under a door frame one of the favorite toys left behind. Every single toy I own had memories with those sweet little toddlers. And it undid me. And I wanted to curl up in a fetal position. And I wept with all of my soul. And it was excruciating. And at that point, there's just no words to describe that pain. You can't grieve this child in the way you would a child you lose,
Yeah.
because there's no funeral, there's no casseroles, there's no friends coming to comfort you. My son and I knew all the same people, and I felt that what he was doing was pretty immature, which learned later it was not that so much. But I needed to be able to uh, protect his reputation as well.
Mm.
So I didn't tell anyone. And I just lost it that day. And there I am on the floor in the hallway. And I turned to God in devout prayer. And I asked him to carry this pain for me, all my heart. And he did. And he took it from me. And as I thought about my grandchildren, my son, and the separation, from that point forward, it was as painful as Taco Tuesday or need to take the trash out.
Yeah.
All of that pain was lifted. God carried it for me. And I'm not sure what I ever did to deserve that, but I am so grateful.
Wow. I mean, that's an
It,
incredible testimony. I can't even imagine what that must feel like to just have that ripped out of you like that. Now,
no.
your
And
son,
then the thing is, yes, they can come back, but it was five of them. It
ugh,
was not just my son, but also his wonderful wife and their three beautiful children. And the oldest child was very young. So it just, they had been in our lives tremendously over the last few years, and then suddenly gone,
yeah,
living 90 minutes away, but gone.
yeah, unbelievably hard to even fathom that. How long was it?
In our case, I
Yeah.
think it was about 8 months.
Whew. Wow.
Um, but times changed. They lived in a very remote area in the mountains here in Idaho, and we lived in the city. So, with medical care and whatever was needed, if something arose, then they would usually come and get babysat so that they could take someone to the ER. And so I think that was when it happened once, but it wasn't ready. So he went back to it. Um, and it was a difficult time. And then he just decided that it was okay. And I had changed a great deal in the interim,
Hmm.
more than he knew, I think. But I was ready. And so when he did come back that final time, I was ready. And so I put him as the priority. And I was able to, have you ever paid attention to someone and they're on their phone and they're
Yeah,
multitasking?
absolutely.
I, I think that's how I was making him feel, and among other things,
Wow.
um, lots of things. But we were able to work through that, and I was in a much better place. And So when he came back, I was able to help it stick this time. And I was willing to. Some of the anger had subsided. There was plenty of that early on. I have plenty of pride in me. Ooh,
Sure.
not in a good way. But here's the interesting thing. We reconciled, things started getting really good. We spent maybe 2 months really interacting quite a bit, getting together often. And then he found out that he couldn't buy a house here, but he could buy one where her family lived and moved across the country.
Oh my gosh.
So within 5 months' time, they were there, reconciled, and living across the country. And so, but there's FaceTime and our hearts are
Right.
good. I was, a half hour ago, I was on the phone with him, cheerily chatting away.
That's amazing. Again, the story is so incredibly powerful. The how did you how did you muster that up, Marit? I mean, really, how do you? Because I understand having strong faith. I consider mine to be very strong today. It was not always, admittedly, but I cannot even imagine how I would navigate something like that. How did you know to lean in like that? How did you know to turn to faith to get you through that? Um,
Oh,
instead of
faith
reacting like
is,
most of us would
yeah,
have, right? Getting
no,
angry
no,
and
no, no, no. Faith is the only source to help you in that.
yeah,
Faith doesn't tell you, oh, do this, but faith is the strength. And faith doesn't take away your problems. Faith gives you the strength to get through them. And I think, oh gosh, don't even get me started, but I'm going there. I'm
yeah.
going there. Disney. Disney's the bad guy. Um,
Go
when we
ahead.
look at fairy tales, fairy tales teach us that, we're going to go through a difficult time, and then we're going to Prince Charming will come along. We will be released from all of our troubles. We'll fall in love, get married, and live happily ever after. And so we have generations that have grown up believing they deserve a happily ever after, believing that it's coming their way. And if it doesn't come fast enough, then something's wrong because they deserve this. That victim mentality is the absolute first thing we get rid of. Okay. And this for your audience, for you, for anyone, this is it. You have got to cut the to me out of your mental dialogue. To me.
Okay.
Never again.
Take me down that
Why did
road.
this happen to me?
Ah, okay.
Okay. It didn't happen to you. It happened. But she shot me with a gun. No, she shot you. I mean, she shot with a gun. You were there. But it happened to me. Yes, it happened. But she was shooting me. Yes. But it's a thing that happens as opposed to um I guess what's the word I'm thinking of? It's intent.
Hmm.
When we believe something happened to us, um, then we are looking for problems. Here's where I get into my favorite topic. Not my favorite, God is my favorite, but neuroscience.
Okay.
The brain. I got 10 concussions in 2.5 years. Guess what I became obsessed with? The brain. And yes, I
Wow.
am klutzy.
What
And
in the world were
yes,
you doing?
now 3 times standing up into either the back door of the trunk of my car or getting out of my car. Uh, 3 times standing up, hitting my head, getting something that was sticking out from a shelf. Things don't stick out from my shelves anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Like a board sticking out from a shelf in the garage, and I was in a hurry and I stood up fast and smack. But the first time and the last time were truly backstroke sprints in the swimming pool where I hit the concrete pool.
Oh, ow. Okay. I'm sorry. I just had to know.
Yeah, no,
That's an
I hear
unbelievable
you.
number of concussions,
Okay,
but
I
please
know
go
it's
on.
terrible.
Right.
Yeah, I won't even get into the falls. But anyway, um, so what happened was athleticism is not my strong suit. Um, but what happened was I began to study the brain, and the way the brain works is that it is designed to protect your body, your life, your soul. And so, what it has done for millennia or however long is that it will look for problems to protect you. All right. Now, if you have a brain that's looking for problems everywhere, guess what it's going to find? Problems. Well, if you go around with an attitude of, I deserve a life free of problems, and life isn't free of problems, guess what you're going to have? A disconnect. And that disconnect is going to make you feel really uncomfortable. And you're going to want to, because you already have this victim mentality, naturally, it can begin to grow and fester and canker your brain and your soul. So what I do, I explain that our thoughts are, each thought comes into our head, and it is chemically, electrically, whatever, however it works. It's a connection that's made each thought. All right. And with that connection comes a pathway. And that's what the chemicals or the electricity or whatever passes along within your brain. I'm really not that big into neuroscience. I don't know that much scientifically, but I love how the brain works. And if you have that same thought a second time, it's like two threads that are the same pathway. Let's add a third. Well, it's going to weave around the others, and now we've got three. What about 40? When we've thought that thought 40 times, those threads are intertwined and it's a nice, strong, solid pathway. What if we've had that thought 10,000 times? And you say, I don't have a thought 10,000 times. Well, let's see. When you go to a kitchen cupboard and you want to pull out a plate, which cupboard do you go to? Do you know which cupboard to go to, or do you have to think about it?
You just know.
Right. Now, what if you move the cupboard? Where are you going to go for the first 2 months?
Ah, okay. To the same cupboard where it
Okay.
used to be.
That
Right.
where it used to be. That's right.
Exactly.
But the brain has to do this, because otherwise you'd get to the cupboard, you'd open it up, you'd pull out a plate, and you'd say, what's this? You don't have time to re-figure out what everything is every single day.
Right.
And so to conserve energy, your brain creates these pathways. 90% of what you think today, you also thought yesterday and the day before.
Hmm.
And so when you've had a thought 10,000 times, like where the plates are kept for the last 20 years, you've lived in a house, um, then what happens is that's a comfortable thought. But there's many thoughts that we have those with. You know, our thoughts about God, our thoughts about our spouse, our thoughts about ourselves and our children. I was a devout Christian who hated myself. I despised myself. Oh my gosh, it was horrible how I spoke to myself, but I didn't recognize it. And it was hard to tame because I wasn't worthy of thinking good things about. And so that was a really concerted effort to get there, and a lot of help from God and scripture to get there. But I will tell you that understanding that just because your brain has a thought that this is where the plates are kept doesn't mean they're still kept there. My brain, I'm sorry, it was a tangent going back to, we go to the kitchen cabinet where um, you open it up to look for a plate. It's where the plates go, but they haven't been there for a month. Oh, right. You think that every time you go to the wrong spot. Well, the same thing is happening in our brain when we learn new information. We don't just learn a new thought, we have to unlearn the old thought. And that is a process that takes time and concerted effort.
Hmm.
Because our brain is naturally looking for problems, we naturally can see all the bad stuff happening around us. It requires concerted effort to see the good. And how many times have you said to yourself, what else could go wrong? You know,
Unfortunately, I'm guilty of that. Yeah, I have.
yeah,
I've
we all
definitely
do.
had that happen. Sure.
Now, my next question, how many times have you said, what else could go right?
Probably never, ever in my life have I uttered those words, and I should because now I feel
Repent.
kind of stupid. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It makes total
because
sense
that's
what you're
not
talking
how
about.
the brain works. But
Right.
when you say what else could go right and then start stacking the good, that's when the miracles happen. And that was how I got to this point. Very long, convoluted answer to your earlier question of how did I get to this point to have the faith to turn to God for this?
Yeah.
That was that once upon a time, I was bedridden and broke. We had gone through a financial catastrophe and gone through a subsequent bankruptcy. We it was that was on someone else, but it was a business problem. We got embezzled. But what happened was, through that experience, I'm laying in bed and I can barely breathe. My I can't wear a blanket because it's too heavy to be able to breathe.
Mm.
So I could just lay there. And some hours my brain was working, and others it was foggy enough that I couldn't remember my name. And I laid that way for about 6 or 8 weeks before I realized, okay, this is not a short trial. And at that point, I had been through other experiences. One, when I first got married, and my husband had some health problems, and I was told by his doctor that I needed to support the family. Well, he was studying business. I studied art and music, and not education, just art and music. So, yeah, I was not well qualified for that, and I already had one and a half children. It didn't go well. He got better. God was good to me. But during that downtime, I held on with white knuckles, and I refused to feel. I refused to think. I was angry at God. I was resentful. And I wouldn't pray because I knew if I prayed, I felt like I would implode. It was too much. And during that time, all that did was get me through a hard time. I did not grow. I did not learn anything. I didn't feel his love. I was on my own. And so the next time something really big came along, that was the financial crisis. I vowed during this experience, I'm going to be humble and I'm going to be patient. I will wait on God's timing because that's part of faith. So I went in with that attitude. And the whole time I was like, okay, not today, not today. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be patient all the time. And eventually I had a feeling that I'd passed the trial and now it was for someone else to learn, and that I was uh, going to keep going through it for a time, but I had passed. And that was
Wow.
a really, really comforting answer that God put in my heart. But the next stage, this time, here I am, we're still broke, and I get really sick. And I say, okay, God, I read about some people who did this, and I'm going to be patient and cheerful. So I was. And it wasn't because it was easy, and it wasn't because I knew how to do it. It was because I decided and committed. And when I decided and committed, then I found the way. My brain found the way. And I was filled with gratitude. And let me ask you this. Have you ever looked back over all the things that have happened in your life and seen how many amazing things have been there?
That, yes, I have done.
It's incredible. I
Yeah,
mean, I've snorkeled
absolutely.
in the Red Sea. I've worked with really prestigious people in my work. I've sung in front of thousands of people at a time, spoken in front of tens of thousands, spoken hundreds of times, and so many other things. And none of those things were ever on my list when I was in high school. I never expected to accomplish those things. I got to spend a semester in Jerusalem studying the Bible. That was an intensive experience. And yeah, it just, wow, I have been so blessed. So I started making that list of blessings, and I couldn't look forward. I didn't know if I would live. I had the parent of long COVID, and it wasn't discovered yet.
Hmm.
It's called post-viral syndrome, and nobody knew what it was. So I just laid there, and it was the happiest 16 months of my life.
Wow. That's an incredible
I
testimony. You've put that out a couple of times today.
thank
Really and
you.
truly, that's amazing. I mean, I see where your faith comes from. I see how strong that is with you. And it's amazing you've been able to kind of navigate this entire scenario based just on that. Let me ask you this, if I may.
Sure.
For folks who are going through this for the first time, is there a particular way that they can pray, that they can lean into their faith, that they can maybe sort of tailor that to this particular issue? Because this is the first time they've dealt with it. They're going to feel things they've never felt before. Is it just as simple as give it to God and let Him take it? Or
No,
is there maybe a method that works a little bit better because you've been through it?
yeah, no, I've been through it on both sides. It's never a give it to God and let him take it
Hmm.
because he didn't send us here to be passive. He didn't
Sure.
send us here to be pawns.
Like that.
It's um it's more of a giving it to God and letting him take it actively, if that makes sense. In other words, I surrendered my will to his. And I mean, that's what he taught us in every prayer. Okay. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Um, thy will be done, when he was in Gethsemane. Those are the things that make us happier is giving it to God. But we don't just let go. What we do is we say, guide me to know what you want me to do. Guide me to know what decisions I can make today that will help you. I mean, I feel like God blesses me in my work tremendously, but I also feel like he's given me people to serve. And if I'm not doing my part, why would he continue to do his?
Yeah.
If that makes any kind of sense. Um, because I have people who are in extreme circumstances right now. One of them is about to get released from the hospital and is homeless and can't physically care for herself. And she's a widow and she has no family. One of her children is estranged as well. She wrote her off as a toxic person and set boundaries. Um, and my friend is completely lost. Can I help her a ton? No, I have stairs and I don't have the physical wherewithal to be able to help,
Yeah.
but I can listen and store her stuff until we find her a place. Um, God sends people into my path that I know that he wants me to help, not someone else, but me. And I feel like he communicates with me as much as I listen. Um, he wants me to do his will in his time, in his way. And if I listen, really listen, then I feel like he helps I put it into my heart how and when to do that. And for me, listening is also a very active thing. It's not just saying a prayer and waiting for words to come into your heart. It's a matter of, okay, I am going to turn off my phone or use my phone for this and read the Bible.
Mm.
And I am going to ask God what he wants me to learn from this, what applies in my life. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to try to do that. I'm also going to ask him to guide my footsteps that day. And at the end of the day, I'm going to do the most unsung uh, gift that God has given us: repent. Because if I realign with God each night and ask for his forgiveness, if I am going to try to obey him and live in alignment with him and his will, oh my goodness, the spiritual growth is unrecognizable. It's that's the wrong word. It's just um, like an E curve. I don't know how to describe that. It's
Okay.
very dramatic.
Sure. I love the description, to be honest. I love the passion behind it and how you feel about it. It's just sort of oozing out of you right now. So I hope
Oh,
everybody
thank
gets
you.
to kind of experience that when they hear this episode. I really appreciate you bringing all this out for everybody to hear. I appreciate you sharing how you've handled it. Because you're one of the few people who have been on both sides of this. You have coaching that helps people with this. You also have a 5-day program.
I do
Uh,
on my website.
Tell people about that real quick.
Well, it's called Still. Now, my podcast is called Still Here.
Hmm.
My Facebook group is Still Here. They're both brand new. But the Still program on my website is not. It's a program that walks women through um, some of the steps they can take to better understand the circumstance. Most mothers do not understand what they did wrong because they're from a different generation, because the children doesn't usually the child doesn't know how to explain it or just doesn't bother.
Hmm.
And so or they might say something that just doesn't mean anything to the mother. So this helps the mother understand what part they're responsible for and what they're not, and get rid of the not. It's a program that helps them connect more to God. And it's just 5 days of one-on-one coaching with me. And at the end of those 5 days, I then give them an opportunity to continue in coaching and in the framework that actually heals and prepares them for returning. And that's an exciting prospect, because not only do we teach them how to become the woman that they need to be, but then when they are ready, then we work with them to create the letter of amends and go through the process, the communication, to be able to reach out. And then if their child responds, which so far they respond quite well, but if their child responds at that point, then they're ready. And here's the punchline, and the clincher that's so important, is if they don't respond, that mother knows how to live happier and live a purposeful life, even while she's waiting.
Hmm.
Even if she waits the rest of her life, she can find meaning and satisfaction in her life going forward.
Nice. Nice. And there's a link to that 5 day program, or to the website and then the 5 day program.
It's just on my website,
Got it. All right. We'll make sure the website is, in our show notes and stuff. Um,
just maritwelker.com.
absolutely. I love it. How do people reach you? That's it
Maritwelker.com.
right there. Okay. Best way. The website right there. All right. We're going to
That's
have
right.
that in there for sure. Marit, thank you for all of this information on unfortunately very hot topic with, with our society the way it is today. I can't believe that we're in a situation like this, honestly, but my goodness, it's just kind of amazing that we're dealing with
Oh,
this.
yeah. And I oversimplified things quite a bit. Every individual situation is different.
Hmm.
And there are certainly cases of abuse and such. But those are the general trends of what we're seeing in most cases for women that are, in the Gen Z and older age range that are mothers. Um, that's primarily been their experience so far that I've spoken with,
Yeah.
and from the reading and courses that I've taken.
Nice. Nice. All right. Appreciate that too. Any final thoughts for folks about faith, about dealing with these types of issues, about things that you have to offer? The floor is yours for the last minute. Go ahead and wrap any way you would like. Anything that you want to leave with our listeners on your way out.
Well, I say that it's all on God, and it's not, because God can heal you, but he also inspires medicine and, doctors. And so I believe, get the help you need, whether it's a therapist, whether it's make sure it's not. Anyway, be careful with therapists. Interview them carefully, but they are very much a leading cause for this. Um, the wrong ones, but definitely turn to God and ask for his help, that he will guide you. And then if he helps you through this, get some help, because it's not just having the extra strength, it's not just having the extra peace and the support, it's making the changes that you don't know how to make yet, so that you will be ready and prepared when that door cracks open.
Wonderful. Love it. Great way to close for us today. Wow. Marit Welker, thank you for coming on the show, for sharing everything that you did, and for just being so open and honest with everybody about everything that you've experienced, so that they can learn from it, and so that maybe they can have an easier time connecting with their faith. It's been wonderful, and I thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Folks, that's been another fantastic episode of, Wake Up the Lions, and it is absolutely time. It's time. More than that, it's time for you to take your rightful place with your brothers and your sisters and let them hear you roar. Folks, the world is ready. You're ready. You just have to believe it.